when it comes to success, there's probably 10 people who actually have gotten to the point where they really, really do deserve it. And then when it comes to relationships, there's probably 90 people who do deserve better.
Am I upset because I've been putting in the work and I've been doing everything I can and I've been working as hard as I can towards something and I'm not getting the result? Or am I upset because I'm not really earning it?
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed yesterday's episode number 1616. Deep down, you already know the answer to the question you're asking. A very hyper-conscious episode. I enjoyed that one very much. Today, for episode number 1617, what's your relationship with earning it? One of my clients texted me something today, Alan, and I wasn't planning on telling this because it hadn't happened when we came up with this episode, but shout out to Philip. Philip messaged me and said, hey, I had to share this. Something amazing happened, and one of the big guests I had on wants to collaborate in something he's doing, and my name's going to be in it. He said, this is huge. I said, awesome. And after that, I sent 4 words. I said, you've earned it, brother. I think one of the reasons a lot of us, unfortunately, are unsuccessful in the things that we're chasing after is because we believe we earned it long before we really did. And I told Alan that when I'm working with podcasters, I've really broken it down to it's the wrong expectations, the wrong approach, or the wrong time perspective. One of those 3, if not all of those 3, are skewed. The time perspective thing, I think, is so important because we confuse time. I said this to someone the other day. They said, well, I've been an entrepreneur for almost 3 years. And I said, yes, you've been an entrepreneur for almost 3 years. You've been a dream chaser for almost 3 years, but you're only doing it part-time. So those 3 years are not 3 12-hour days. They're 3 leftover days. 3 years of leftover days versus 3 years of 12-hour days. Mm-hmm. And I said, but if you think about Alan and I, number one, there's 2 of us. And if you combine it, we're working 20 hours a day. Let's just say that. We're averaging 20 hours a day. If you
6 days a week.
6 days a week. So we'd have to figure out the exact number. Let's just say, I don't know. Let's say 100 hours a week. That's fair.
Probably 120.
Okay.
6
120.
times 20, yeah.
So 120 hours a week times 7 years, 6 years.
Let's do it. I love numbers.
What's that? 120 times 6 years.
So 365 times 6 is 2,190. I'll multiply that by 120. So that's 263,000 hours.
Is that real?
It's 262,800 hours.
Would you have to divide that by 60, though, to get hours?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
It's hard to do
hours.
live
Oh,
math.
you know what it is? Yeah, you're right. Because we did days instead of weeks. My bad.
Right.
So it's 52 times 6. That's my bad. Good call. Which is 312. Multiply that by 120, which is 37,440 hours. Yeah.
So that's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hours. I still do not believe we deserve to be the number 1 podcast in the world or anything like that. I don't know if
what would be really cool?
Yeah.
Is if you were to look at the top podcasters in the world, and again, you can do this in any industry, top business, top tech, top whatever, and then look at the timeline they've been in business and then actually do the hours, that would be a really cool apples to apples comparison.
That would be.
Kevin and I talk often about how one of the biggest issues in this industry, but in life right now in the 21st century, is you're doing comparisons that are not apples to apples. I call it the inverse 10th law. If someone is online portraying a ton of success, they are most likely only 1/10 as successful as you think. Ironically, if someone isn't portraying success at all, they're probably 10 times more successful than you think. But what I mean by this is, if you could look at the amount of hours that everyone actually put into their craft, to their business, to their fitness, to whatever, and actually broke it down, and then compare that to the amount of hours that you put in, that would actually be an honest apples to apples comparison. But no one's doing that. because all we're doing is looking online, seeing social media, but you don't know if they inherited their money. You don't know if they have someone behind the scenes, that a husband or a wife that's actually footing the majority of the bills early on. It's very hard to really know. And so it's just very important to understand that. I really like that exercise we just did, even though we jeffed the math. I jeffed the math because
I was going to say, that's a lot of hours. It's like 200. That can't possibly be real.
That was too much. I did days instead of weeks. That's on me.
That's many hours. My ultimate thought in this is earning it is contextual and it's personal, and it really depends on what your relationship with time is. And I'm convinced one of the reasons we want to earn it long before we do is because we're afraid to some level and asking ourselves the question of, my freaking chair, is this even going to work? Will this even work? I think that's a question that you've probably never asked yourself because you've kind of reverse engineered this. I ask myself it many times. I'm waiting to get to the point where I quote unquote deserve it because I don't know if this is ever going to work. And just because you're 2 years in does not mean you deserve it yet. Maybe you deserve. Now, I don't mean intrinsically. Intrinsically as a human being, sure. But I'm just saying the results that you desire, maybe you just don't deserve them yet because it just hasn't been long enough. So here's the thought. Doing something for a year might seem like a long period of time, but if it's only something you're doing once a week, it's really not that much. If it's only something you're doing an hour a day, it might not be that much. But there's also the other side of it of, well, if you read for an hour a day every single day, that's a lot. So yes, maybe you deserve to have all the knowledge you have, but it doesn't really work like that with everything. If you work out every day for a month, that's 30 exercises, that's 30 workouts, but it's not that much in the grand scheme of things. It's a really good start, is what it is. And if anything, you deserve the self-trust, and you deserve a little bit more self-belief, and you deserve some more self-esteem, and you deserve the opportunity to continue doing it. But I really think this is one of the things that is really, really dangerous. Just because we think we did something for a long enough period of time that we should be getting more results than we are, I think that's just super, super, super rare. I think it's usually, that's just the way it works. And on the other side, we have people that go viral or something works really, really well and they are the exception to the rule. But the rule is it's most likely going to take longer than you want it to, unfortunately.
Of course.
Forever.
It will take longer than you. And when you had said, you probably don't ask this question, the question that I ask constantly, that I do ask, is why isn't this working? Not from the frame of victimhood of that it should be working and it's not. It's more a curiosity of why isn't this working? Because if I figure out why it's not working, I can fix it. I can improve it. I can change it. I can shift it. And so fix it is actually probably the wrong phrase, because fix it implies, okay, my car's broken, now it's fixed. Whereas in business or in life or in fitness or in health or in wealth or in love, it's not a quick fix. There is no end. There is no, my relationship is 10 out of 10 now. I fixed it. We were just talking earlier, Kev, you and I, about a relationship talk coaching client that has that sort of fixed mindset of, well, we're good now. And there is no such thing. There's a reason why I still do therapy. There's a reason why people still coach with me. Even one of my clients is unbelievable in business. Very well put together, very well studied, brilliant, hardworking. I mean, this dude's got it going on. He's on point. He's been tracking habits for 2 years. The dude's on point. The last thing he needs is coaching, but that's why he's so on point. The person who needs coaching the most is usually the one who's the least inclined. It's usually the one who thinks they've arrived. There is no arriving. There is no deserving. There's are you willing to earn it? And the quote that I adore, and this is true in intimate relationships, this is true in fitness for sure, and this is true in business, the moment you start to think you've earned it is the moment you start losing.
Yeah.
The moment that I am entitled to Emilia, like really think about this. I think about this all the time. The moment that I take her for granted is the moment I start to slip. It's the moment I think that, we're good. Our relationship's great. That's when you gotta be concerned because all of a sudden I'm going to stop earning it. I told Emilia, I will protect your heart. I will help you build and help you shine. That was the 2 promises I made at the very beginning of our relationship. I said, I will help you shine more than anyone ever has, and I will always protect your heart. And I screwed up that one with protecting her heart one time. That's a story, but it was essentially, I was more focused on my mom and my sister in that moment and not on her because they were fighting. And I won't go any farther down that rabbit hole, but she essentially felt that that's the only time in our relationship where I wasn't protecting her heart because I put her in an environment that was definitely emotionally not good. But what I will say is that I wake up every single day and I try really hard to remember that I am not entitled to a relationship with Emilia. I have not arrived. I'm not deserving of Emilia. If anything, I wake up in the morning and I write in my journal and I'm grateful, and she's usually still sleeping. I'm in the corner of the bedroom and I'm doing my Dreamliner. And the beginning of the Dreamliner is top 3 gratitudes. And I wrote literally earlier today, being able to share this house with Emilia was number 1. Number 2 was our incredible RT event last night. And number 3 was how wonderful of a person Emilia is. And that is how you earn it. And I'm not just writing this to share it. I didn't even think I was going to share it, to be honest. And the truth of the matter is that anything you want to achieve in life that's truly magnificent, and my relationship is magnificent. And trust me, in the past, I could not say that with a straight face. I remember I used to have to try to find good things to say, And my relationship is magnificent, but I have earned that, and I will never stop earning that because it's not over ever. And the moment that you think that you deserve by default with very little effort is the moment that you stop deserving it. You stop earning it. You stop working hard and working smarter and being humble and putting in the work and keeping the promises and showing up and supporting her and that kind of thing. And so I think in relationships, people get that. But in success, I don't know if people do. It's almost like you think you're gonna show up somewhere and suddenly you'll be financially free. But ironically, the only way to be financially free is to really create a life of hard work and smart work and build something of value that you can consistently pour into and learn how to speak, Alan.
Well, there's a big difference between desire and deserve. I think we all desire different than what we have. I won't say more, but different probably. But it doesn't necessarily mean we've put in the effort to get the result we want. Tara and I went to Dave & Buster's for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
she took me. She surprised me.
That's awesome.
That was where our first date was.
Nice.
So we were on the way, and she said, "Do you know where we're going?" And I said, "Let me guess, Dave & Buster's."
What was your favorite game? What'd you do?
Basketball.
Nice. Yeah. That's the
and
way.
Football. I like the football game. But we were I don't know. I think I'm old. I think I've gotten old, maybe. Have you ever played the game where you launch the coin down the little ski jump and then it goes through the thing and then it falls and then it pushes like a bunch of other coins off of the thing onto another thing that pushes coins?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a really good analogy for success, quote unquote success, whatever that means, where I want all the coins and a lot of the coins are just right on the edge. They're hanging on the edge and they're ready to fall. I didn't put the coin in the right spot to deserve it to knock it over the edge. I just didn't do it. Everybody went there and tried, but nobody really deserved. They didn't push the right button. They didn't land in the right spot. They didn't do it for long enough. If I sat there all day, I'm willing to bet I'd get a lot of coins. Mm-hmm. I'd also run out of money, most likely, over a long enough period of time. But a lot of things are teetering right on the edge. And just because you can see it or just because you want it or just because it's moving doesn't mean you push the right buttons or did the right things to deserve it. But it's really hard, to Alan's point, when you don't know what other people did to deserve it.
Yeah.
Because some people might not. Some people might not have put in the level of effort that you have. Unfortunately, maybe it takes you longer.
Yeah.
I would say statistically that's probably true. Statistically, it's most likely going to take you longer than someone you look up to. I just think from what I've seen, that's just kind of the way it works. I was thinking of this with podcast clients, and there are a few podcast clients who just out of the gate were crushing it. But that's because of all the stuff they did to earn it before.
Right.
It just kind of crossed over where they were successful enough and they knew enough people and they had enough presence and they had enough perception and credibility where it just crossed over. So this is my early next level nugget. What's your relationship with earning it? Do you have a negative relationship because you don't think you ever will earn it? That's something to look at. Are you frustrated and starting to resent the dream because you feel like you're giving it your everything, which you haven't earned it yet, quote unquote? It might be worth asking somebody who has been doing it for longer where they were when they were at your position. That might be a really good piece of feedback for you to get because you might actually be ahead of where you think you are. That's the weird thing. For a lot of us, I think we assume we should be further along than we actually are until someone sits you down and says, you're way ahead of me. You're way ahead of where we were this far in. You're doing really well. That's
Right.
a really powerful reset. A client the other day said, how are my listens doing? And I said, you've been doing this for a year? And they said, yeah. I said, you're ahead of where we were a year in.
Nice.
And it was a really good reframe because she was a little bit down on herself
Of
because she hasn't
course.
been consistent. So,
Because a year in, she's probably sitting there going, 2,000 listens?
yeah.
Oh, no. That's double what we had.
I know.
But people aren't honest about that, and that's the problem.
Well,
Yeah.
it's really hard to timestamp somebody else's success. So I think somebody coming in and saying, "Oh no, yeah, I remember exactly what it was like to be where you are. This is the level of quote unquote success we had. You're way ahead of where we are." I think that's awesome because maybe then your time perspective is different. You say, "Okay, well, I've been doing this for 2 years and I'm ahead of where they were. Okay, cool." And then maybe your relationship with earning it changes because you actually feel like you've earned more than you gave yourself credit for. Hopefully that's what that perspective can do. Next level nation, what is happening? If you've thought to yourself, I want to try coaching, but you don't really know where to start, group coaching would be a wonderful place for you. That's really why we created it in the first place. We start a new round every 90 days. So if you're hearing this, go to the website, nextleveluniverse.com, and we have the landing page where you can actually hold your spot right now. Even if there's a group going on right now, you can still lock your spot for the next one. The biggest thing that we've seen is as we get closer and closer to the date, unfortunately, some people end up missing. The group fills up and they can't do it, and then they end up regretting that. So please head over to the website. The link will be in the show notes, and we would love to see you there.
I wrote a article years and years and years ago, and this is before the Next Level blog.
Was it called the Powerball mentality?
You know where I'm
I've
going?
heard of it. I've heard of it. It was
It
pretty
is a-
famous at the time. Yeah.
I think it had upwards of 200 reads.
200 reads?
I
A
actually
lot
think this one might have had more than that. I do. I think it probably had it doesn't matter, probably 1,000 or something.
Okay.
But the the whole episode was this idea of the Powerball mentality, which is when you play Powerball, you are hoping to get massive rewards for very little amounts of money. So you play, what is Powerball, like $7 or something?
I
honestly
have
don't
no
know.
idea. I don't know if
Okay.
I haven't played since I was like 18 years old, probably.
Okay. You smartened up. The math is not for you, right?
No.
It's against you. But so the anyone who plays the Powerball, what they're really hoping for is massive rewards for very little amounts in. Very little input for a huge return. And yes, that's possible. Someone has to win. It's possible. But that's the anomaly. They show the one winner and the $30 million pot or whatever, but they don't show the 9,999,999 people that lost their money. And unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. Success is highlighted and amplified, and struggles are hidden behind the scenes. And fortunately, some of that is shifting. But Kevin and I are a little different in that, and we believe in earning it. We don't believe in something for nothing. We even say that in our team huddles. Like anyone who, I'll give you a perfect example. One of our team members, I said, please cap your hours at 20 a week. 20 a month actually right now. And she's like, I'm going to just keep working. And I'm like, oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. But at the end of the day, that's earning it. She's not going to stop doing what she loves to do and contributing to NLU just because right now we capped her hours. Mm. and we're going to change that immediately. And that made me want to change it. It's like the fact that she was still willing to put in work even after the hours. It was like, that makes me, that's noted. It's noted. That's someone who wants to earn it. And so, no, we don't all deserve a mansion. No, we don't all deserve a six-pack. No, we don't all deserve a magnificent relationship. And my truth is, I could never have had a magnificent relationship with Emilia back in my early 20s because I wasn't ready. I wasn't grown up enough. I wasn't emotionally mature enough. I wasn't emotionally intelligent enough. I didn't deserve it yet. And I had to earn my way to being with her. And the thing that I always say that I think lands well is she's 29 years old. I'm 35. Me at 29 could never have been with her at 29 because I wasn't ready. And we told the story on the last episode about Kevin meeting Taryn and how he wasn't ready either. And so, I think that earning it is noble. I do. This will be the last piece, but I had a mentor once. His name's Dr. Robert Scott. We interviewed him way back. And he's an older man. He's in his 70s. And he said, Alan, the thing that I love about you is that you're basically two things he told me. He said, number one, you're forged by pain, which I appreciated. And that's a deeper discussion. But he said,
you probably didn't appreciate it at the time. You were being forged by the pain, but you do like the compliment later is nice. Yeah.
He said, they don't make them like you anymore. And what he meant by that is he actually told me this. He said, back in my day, there were a lot of young, aspiring, earn it mentality men who really cared deeply about excellence and virtue and who really wanted to strive and earn every dollar. And he said that's not the norm anymore. He said we've lost some of that. And again, I'm not doing the whole generational millennials, Gen Z. The world has changed, technology, I get it, right? I'm not going to pit generations on each other. But what I will say is I really did appreciate that very much because I do feel strongly that I wake up every day and I try to earn my keep. And I try to add value. I'm not looking to get something from you as a listener. Kevin and I are literally sitting here adding value for free. And we're serving, we're practicing our craft, we're pouring into a community, we're creating something of value, and we're growing along the way and contributing along the way. And yes, hopefully we will be profitable. But profitability is last. Profitability comes after earning it. And fortunately, that has been working for us. Maybe not as quickly or as abundantly as we might hope. But I think that's the lesson is you can think you deserve stuff by default. You can try to have the wrong time perspective and you can say, I'm 2 years in, why aren't I winning? Or you can say, okay, I'm 2 years in and I'm going to get a little better tomorrow and a little better the next day and a little better the next day. And I'm going to work a little harder and I'm going to work a little smarter. And then I'm going to work a little harder and I'm going to work a little smarter. And I think that if you do that, eventually, keyword, eventually, you will end up more successful. You will. And I think that you'll be proud of yourself too. And I think you'll be fulfilled along the way. So I'm a big fan of earn it. Obviously, you got to work on your self-worth as well along the way. That's another conversation. But you gotta earn it. You can never own success. You can only rent it. And the rent is due every day. And that goes for health, wealth, and love. And that's why Kevin and I are not quite as in good a shape as we were at the beginning of this
Unfortunately
podcast.
not. Unfortunately not. One of my favorite quotes, and this was my first ever, I guess it's not really a quote, but it's my first ever Facebook video, which was preceding this podcast, was, do you deserve to be happy? And in this thing, I basically said, I think you deserve what you work for. Now, there's a fine line to that. I know.
I watched it.
I was going to hook you as my business partner.
You did hook me.
You just didn't realize it.
I agreed 1,000%. BEFD, sir.
BEFD. But here's the thing. As a human, I do believe you deserve to be treated with respect and with compassion, and you deserve to have a positive partner that treats you right and doesn't take advantage of you in that. So we're not saying that. I'm not saying that you have to earn. I realize it's such a fine line. You deserve basic human rights and respect and all that. I would never say anything against that. And if you listen to NLU, I'm sure you know that. That's what this is built on. But when it comes to success, that's where it's weird. You deserve to be treated with respect and you deserve to be treated with compassion. You deserve that, all those things. Yes.
You deserve an opportunity.
Yeah.
I think you deserve opportunities.
I agree.
For people to believe in you, and I think you deserve to be treated with respect. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
What you don't deserve is to have $1 million mansion on the beach just because you want one.
It's the
And-
entitlement that
Yeah.
the episode we did on that. You're not entitled to that. You're not entitled to that. In the U.S., like, and nobody's really, I mean, it's a fine line. These episodes are always nerve-wracking for me because I don't ever want to come off as insensitive or misspeak, which I'm sure I have thousands of times over the course of this podcast. But success, if it happens faster than it should, I think there's luck involved. If it happens slower than it should, I think there's luck involved. It's either you have good luck and things go better than they should, or you have bad luck and things go worse than they should. And that's why I think it's so hard to connect. I feel like I deserve it. I feel like I've been working so hard and so diligently and so consistently. But if somebody's been doing it for 5 times the amount that you have and they don't have the level of success you want yet, either maybe they're unlucky and you're lucky and you're further along. There's a lot of different ways to go into it. So my last next level nugget would be this. It's a question. What is your relationship with earning it? Do you think everything, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but do you, if you were to reflect and search for patterns, is it common for you to expect the result to come quicker than it does? And do you feel like you're more deserving of the results that you have in your life? You feel like you're more deserving of your reality. I deserve more. I've been working so hard. Maybe that's a tell that your time perspective is off. On the other end, maybe the lower self-worth side, you're always unfortunately getting taken advantage of, or you're surrounded by people who don't respect you. You probably deserve more than you're giving yourself credit for. So it's really, it's self-worth kind of in a nutshell, but it's self-worth from the external success standpoint. So hopefully some of that made some sense.
Oh, I think this is one of the best episodes. I think this topic in particular is really, really important.
It's a challenging one. It's a
Definitely.
challenging one for sure.
Well, because you get into all this stuff of, well, maybe someone else worked harder, but maybe you were in the wrong industry, or maybe that's not a natural gift of yours. So it gets very nuanced. And so I don't want to get lost in the woods with any of that. But what I would say for my next level nugget is check in with self, not other people, self, and be as honest with yourself as possible and ask yourself the following questions. Am I upset because I've been putting in the work and I've been doing everything I can and I've been working as hard as I can towards something and I'm not getting the result? Or am I upset because I'm not really earning it? I'm not really earning it every single day. And I can give an example of each of those. It's you are being a good friend, you are being a good partner, you are being supportive, but yet you're still being treated like crap by your partner. That would be an example of, I really feel like I should be treated better than this. And deep down that that's true. And you need to have the courage to sail away or at least call that out. The second one is, I want to climb towards this body of my dreams, this business of my dreams, this career of my dreams. But, honestly, I haven't really worked on my resume. I didn't really get that mentor when I should have. I didn't hire a coach. I haven't really been reading much lately. I haven't really been earning it. I haven't been putting in the work. I've been unfocused and distracted. I've been scrolling on social media, right? So just an honest conversation with self about your level of earning it and your level of deserving it and where you're at on each.
I have a thought before we go. It's popped in my head. I won't even say I believe because this is a brand new thought. I don't know what it's even going to sound like or what it means. If we can think about it from the perspective of deserving achievement is very, very different than deserving receivement. The receivement, the way you're treated by somebody else, you're receiving that versus the achievement of you're going out and trying to get something. I think those are two really good ways to look at it. The achievement part is probably going to be harder than you think. You're probably less deserving than you think you are. Very blanket statement, but I know there was times where I was like, why aren't we more successful? Why aren't we more successful? And the reality is we just hadn't put in the work yet. Unfortunately, And it sucks to say it, and trust me, it sucked at the time too. But on the other end, receiving, if you feel like you're being mistreated, to Alan's point, you feel like you deserve more, there's a good possibility you do. There's a really good possibility that you do. I would say that if you were to take 100 couples, how many of those relationships is one person being undervalued? I would say it's pretty high.
90.
So I think those are the opposite. When it comes to success, there's probably 10 people who actually have gotten to the point where they really, really do deserve it. And then when it comes to relationships, there's probably 90 people who do deserve better.
And it's so interesting. These are connected. I know we got to jump, but Kev, one of the reasons why I think they're connected, and by the way, I think it's achievement and treatment. That's the way I would say it.
Mine sounds close, so that's why I went achieve and receive. yeah, that's so it could be anything.
Is actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
So, but this is going to end up being an NLU thing. I can feel it. That'll be a thing. I never felt like I deserve achievement. I feel like I need to earn achievement. But unfortunately, what came with that is I also didn't feel like I deserved to be treated with respect either. Yeah. And I think that they're connected. If you are on my end of that, meaning earn it, then most likely you are being mistreated, and maybe that's why you're not as successful, because you're not standing up to people in the marketplace. You're not saying no to opportunities that you should. You're trying to, over earn it, and people aren't respecting you because of that. So these are connected, and maybe that's a whole nother episode, but check in with that too. 0 to 10, how much do I feel like I deserve the achievement that I want? And then 0 to 10, how much do I deserve being treated better than this person is treating me? And I think that most likely, at least one of those is off.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah.
It would make sense. I think it's really hard to be accurate when you don't really have any data to go off of. Really? How do you know what it's like to be treated amazing if you haven't?
You don't.
It's so hard.
Yeah,
it's so hard to know.
It sucks.
So heavy
It's so
episode.
true.
This was a heavier one than I had intended, but I think this is a super important thing to check in with. The awareness of this is a great place to start. Even to Alan's point, asking yourself those questions. If you get an answer that you didn't have before, you have more opportunity than you did before, regardless of the potential discomfort of going through that. If you have not yet joined our private Facebook group, if you're looking for a place where you do belong, that is what the entire Facebook group is about, just a safe place to be yourself, be authentically you. Link will be in the show notes as always. We would love to have you in there.
If you want to get into a room of other people willing to earn it, learn about themselves, learn about the world, learn about how to achieve health, wealth, and love, Next Level Live. We are currently, as of recording this, 35 days out. This is dropping Monday, which means we are going to be 32 days out.
Okay.
So it is peak month. We are 32 days out. Get your tickets now. 60 individuals, 30 virtual, 30 in person. The in person, you get a free Dreamliner and you get lunch. And we're going to do 6 groups of 10 people. We have the assistant coaches finalized. I apologize for anyone who heard me say that Lizzie would be there. Lizzie will not be there. That's my bad. Jerry Ann will be the assistant coach virtually. Christina will be an assistant coach virtually. And Riley will be an assistant coach virtually. Those members of the NLU team, if you don't know who I'm talking about, you will on the day. And then Kevin, myself, and Amy Lenius will be the in-person breakout session guides. And there'll be a guidebook. It's going to change your life. It will definitely have you checking in with your self-belief and your self-worth. We've already created the curriculum for this event. It's going to be super, super powerful. And I promise you, you will leave that room far more well-developed than you went in, and far more likely to have a bigger, better, brighter future. So click the link in the show notes at very least. Check out the venue. Check it out. I promise you this is unbelievably high value for the price point. We did that on purpose. So first come, first serve. Please join us.
You'll also get to see how much taller than Alan I am, which is going to be awesome for anybody who does attend to see that. Tomorrow, for episode number 1618, the 3 core wounds. This is something we were going to talk about last week, but I pushed us back a week so I could do a little bit more research to make sure I was capable of adding some value on that episode. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we don't have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Keep earning it. Exclamation.